What is a courageous conversation that you've been avoiding? When somebody asked me that question 2 years ago, I immediately knew I had to talk to my parents. See, my parents live in Germany, and usually when we talk, it's through Skype. And usually I don't talk to their faces, I talk to the head, the top of their heads. But I started to really feel disengaged in our conversations. I realized I'm not really paying attention. I'm scrolling on Facebook while they're talking to me, and I don't even know what we talked about at the end. So I knew I had to talk to my parents because I felt this immense sense of guilt. Guilt for leaving Germany as their only child and moving to Canada. Guilt for never really having had the conversation about not planning to come back. And guilt for being distracted in our Skype conversations, the only conversations that we were having. So I knew that I had to tell them something. I knew that I had to tell them that I love them. For the first time in my life. Sure, this might not sound like a big deal for a lot of people, but I was terrified. My family, we don't talk about our emotions. We are not really vulnerable with each other. We definitely don't say those 3 simple words. So I knew that I had to do it. I had to get it over with. A couple weeks later, I was really lucky because my parents came to visit me in Canada, and we're sitting around the dinner table. And I knew this is going to be the moment. I was just waiting for that perfect timing of sharing the big news. I was shaken with anxiety. My hands started to get really cold and clammy. My heart started beating in my chest as if I was going to jump off a cliff. Then I thought, let's just get it over with. Let's just say it. But then I hesitated. I thought, what if they think that I'm dying? I mean, I've never told them I love you before, so they must think why now? Does he have a terminal illness? Okay, new plan. Instead of just sharing the words in the conversation, I asked them the question instead. I asked my parents, have your parents ever told you that they love you when you were growing up? And I could immediately feel the tension in the room. This was not something that my parents were prepared for. But slowly my dad started sharing about his family and that his parents who grew up during the war never said I love you to him or his siblings. My mom at the same time was just sitting in the couch silently as my dad also shared her story about how she felt very disconnected from her family too. And she's never said I love you to her parents, or they have told her. And in that moment it hit me. My parents never learned to say I love you from their parents. So of course, they didn't have the capacity to tell me. And in that moment I also realized that now I have this huge opportunity to not only change the relationship with my parents, but change the conversation about being vulnerable and then saying those 2 words from my whole family for myself and the generations to come. So I took a deep breath and said, I know we don't really say this a lot in our family, but I really need you to know that I love you. This next moment felt like forever.
Full.
And then my mom, who was sitting quietly on the couch, shared, of course, we love you too. What was I expecting? Of course I know that my parents love me. All this frustration and anxiety, for what? It's one of those conversations that I really knew I needed to have. So let me ask you again, what's a courageous conversation that you've been avoiding? You have a choice. Some people here might not even have the opportunity to talk to people because they might not be here anymore. But you have a choice. The next time you have a conversation with someone, you could continue doing the small talk and not really being present with them. Or you could share with them, hey, I'm on a small talk diet. Could I ask you the deep question, and you'll realize that every conversation is this opportunity to risk revealing the real you and to be vulnerable. And the reward is being seen, being heard, and being loved. So, why can't you be the one who starts a courageous conversation?